Part 40. Qin Ye's little ancestor is a real boss. Author, Junanan. Chapter 391. After leaving Yu Ziwen's house, Nan Yan said to Qin Lu, "Brother, I may have to go to Shenangjia with my third senior brother first. Fu Yuebai's body has recovered for the most part and he can leave for Shenangjia." She had promised Sun Chan before that they would go together when Fu Yuebai got better. Sun Chan asked her several times, probably because he was a little impatient. As for Mr. Lu's plan to take her to the #1 restaurant in the world, it could only be put on hold for the time being. When she came out of the hospital, she had to go to Lu's house and tell him about it. Qin Lu rubbed her head lovingly. "Well, you go first, I'll help you keep an eye on this side." Nan Yan has become numb to this kind of head-patting behavior. No matter how she resisted, he still had to rub her head, whatever. Tao Qingming happened to be in the hospital, and when he saw her coming, he intercepted her to his office first. "Yan Yan, when do you have time to give an open class to the College of Traditional Chinese Medicine?" Nan Yan was a little confused. "Why, let me give it? She has no reputation, she is not famous, and is essentially still a high school student. If she is asked to give an open class to students studying traditional Chinese medicine, will they accept it? After all, she did not intend to disclose her identity as the apprentice of the miracle doctor. I think that your coming to this open class will have a better effect than mine. Today's students have been polluted by today's society and have become impetuous. They are busy chasing stars on weekdays. How can they like to listen to an old man like me giving a lecture? In previous years, I gave open classes, but the effect was not ideal, because it was too professional, and it was incomprehensible to those students who were still in school. As a result, I was talking about myself on the stage in the end, and they could not interact with each other in the audience. They looked confused throughout the whole process." Speaking of this, Tao Qingming couldn't help sighing. He is a good traditional Chinese medicine practitioner, but he is not a good teacher. He cannot mobilize the attention and curiosity of students. Young people know what young people like, so you can help them. Nan Yan still felt that this matter was not very reliable, but it is not appropriate for me, a high school student who is not studying medicine, to give a lecture. Appropriate? How can it not be appropriate? You are the most suitable candidate. Tao Qingming was afraid that she would refuse. "Don't worry, your identity, Mr. Sun and I have prepared it for you." Here, Sun Chan was even included. "Okay, the open class will only take 2 or 3 hours, I will make time to go then." Tao Qingming saw that she agreed, and nodded with a smile. "Well, when you are free, we will set a time, everything is up to you. Come to the hospital, successfully find another thing for yourself." Nan Yan said that she is really not an idle person. If she is arranged to do something inexplicable every time she meets, she will have to avoid them in the future. Qin Lu saw her helpless expression and comforted her. "That's because you are so good that they chose you. Yan Yan, you are so good that your brother is under a lot of pressure." Nan Yan raised her head and glanced at him lightly. "I didn't see it." Qin Lu playfully pinched her little face full of collagen. "How should your brother behave so that you can see it? That depends on you." During the conversation, they arrived at Fu Yuebai's ward. Nan Yan knocked on the door. Fu Yuebai's voice came from inside. "Come in." Pushing the door in, Fu Yuebai was sitting on the sofa reading a book. His body was completely different from a month ago. His complexion was better, and even his weak and thin body was much stronger. Fu Linfen was not here today, and the ward seemed particularly quiet. Junior sister Fu Yuebai put the bookcase in her hand away, called out with a gentle smile, and then nodded slightly to Qin Lu who came in with her. "Mr. Qin." Nan Yan's hand was on Fu Yuebai's wrist, and while feeling his pulse, she asked, "Third senior brother, how is your body recovering?" "Almost recovered. If it weren't for waiting for you, I should have been discharged from the hospital." The Fu family was already arguing. He didn't let Fu Linfen spread the news that he had recovered. People in the family thought that he was already terminally ill and didn't have much time left. The death of the person in power will naturally lead to a struggle for power. He used to put all his thoughts on the family, and was naturally willing to work hard for the family. But now he has a new goal, and the family is no longer related to him. He burned his life and saved the family once, but there will be no second time. When Fu Linfen went back, he specifically told him to tell them that he died in the hospital. He wanted to take this opportunity to completely draw a line with the family. After Nan Yan knew his plan, she looked up at Qin Lu. She said calmly, "Let the elder of the Fu family go." Since the third senior brother didn't plan to return to the Fu family, there was no point in holding the second elder. Anyway, she gave him a sigh of relief, so she didn't want to kill him. What happened, Fu Yubai didn't know yet. Last time someone from the Fu family came to trouble you, after I was disabled, an old man came. But the old man didn't have a chance to see you. He was caught and locked up by my brother. I want to wait until you are better, and then let you deal with him. Fu Yubai understood, then let him go. Nan Yan nodded. When do we leave for Shenangjia? If there is nothing else, how about leaving tomorrow? Okay. In a few words, Nan Yan and Fu Yubai agreed to leave for Shenangjia tomorrow. Qin Lu is a person with a strong sense of presence. Even if he has been listening to them and has not spoken, he still cannot be ignored. Fu Yubai always feels that the way he looks at him makes him a little creepy. Why is that? After chatting for a while, Nan Yan stood up and said, "Third senior brother, I will pick you up tomorrow." Okay. Qin Lu had been waiting for her to say this. After she finished speaking, she took her hand, nodded to Fu Yubai as a gesture, and then left the ward. But no one expected that the other party would be so fast. On the way back to the Yan family's old house, they were attacked. It was evening, the junction of day and night. It was also the peak period of the road. No matter how good the car was, it had to move slowly because of the traffic jam. Nan Yan, who was sitting in the passenger seat, suddenly felt a palpitation. She suddenly reached out and turned the steering wheel in Qin Lu's hand to the left. A bullet pierced the roof above her left hand. If she hadn't moved the car off the track, the target of the bullet would have been Qin Lu. Qin Lu also sensed the danger, and he stepped on the brakes hard. He was going to change the direction with the steering wheel, but Nan Yan grabbed the steering wheel, and the two of them worked together to avoid the danger. Nan Yan sat down, looked back through the rearview mirror, and her eyes were slightly cold. Cunning enemy. He actually hid in the third car behind them to the left to avoid being discovered by them. Yan Yan, sit tight. Qin Ye's little ancestor is a real boss. Author, Junanan. Chapter 392. Nan Yan responded, and then Qin Lu told her that there was a gun in the car. The car began to drive around in the busy streets. The horns on the road were in chaos, and the cars on both sides gave way to the top luxury cars that did not follow traffic rules. There was no way. Looking at the car model, they also knew that the people in the car were definitely rich or noble, and they were not ordinary people who could afford to provoke them. If they didn't avoid or give way, they would get into trouble again, and they were afraid that they would be in trouble. The black luxury car was running rampant on the road. Nan Yan had already moved from the co-pilot seat to the more spacious back row. Holding a silver silencer pistol in his hand, he looked at the car following closely behind them with a cold and quiet look. The people who came to assassinate them found that they had been exposed, and they no longer covered up and began to chase them blatantly. After knocking over several cars in succession and forcing dozens of cars to collide in panic, Qin Lu led the killer behind him to the suburbs and stopped in a spacious place. The two men got out of the car slowly, and on the surface, they were empty-handed. The weapons were placed in the dark behind their waists and were not exposed. The killer's car braked with a sizzle and stopped opposite them. Several men in black clothes and smart glasses on their faces came out one after another, lined up and stood opposite them. There were quite a few people, not more, not less, 6. Voila! With a neat sound, 6 people picked up their weapons at the same time, loaded them, and then aimed at the 2 people opposite. Nan Yan hooked her hand lightly. I'll give you a chance to escape, put down your weapons, confess and be lenient. 6 killers. Is she mentally ill? Now it is the 2 of them who are threatened, and they are actually saying that they will be given a chance to escape. The killers were also eye-opening. It is impossible to put down the weapons. The order they accepted was to kill these 2 people. Then they can go to pay the final payment. Seeing that such a large sum of money is about to be received, they will definitely not let it go now. These 6 killers are not the kings of killers ranked on the killer heaven list. If the top 10 killers were here, they would definitely take a detour when they saw Qin Lu, the great god. This is what it means to be ignorant and fearless. They dare to take such a life-threatening order. Nan Yan looked at their stubborn appearance and raised her eyebrows. Zhang Yang's eyebrows were evil and fierce. Brother, your leg injury has just healed. You can't exercise too much. Wait here. I'll deal with them. Qin Lu was a little depressed. But he could only rub his eyebrows helplessly and tell her to be careful. Seeing this, the 6 killers quickly raised their hands and pulled the trigger at her. No matter how powerful she was still a human being and was afraid of bullets. However, before they could shoot, they found that their hands were out of control. No matter how hard they tried, they couldn't pull the trigger and couldn't shoot. What on earth was going on? Qin Lu looked at the little guy beside him with a doting look. The 6 killers didn't know the reason, but he knew it. They were standing in the upwind direction, with the wind blowing towards the killers. As soon as Nan Yan raised her hand, she had already poisoned them. The colorless and tasteless white powder was blown to them by the wind and breathed in by them. With Nan Yan's medicine-making skills, a few seconds were enough to take effect. The 6 killers had not yet recovered from the blow of their hands being out of control, and a gust of wind blew over, and they were beaten by the people who suddenly came in front of them, and they didn't recognize their parents. They cried and screamed. Just you dare to assassinate me and my brother, where do you get the courage? Nan Yan sneered, kicked the 6 killers who had become useless into a row, and began to ask the person who placed the order. 6 killers. If they had known that the target was so abnormal and strong, they would not have accepted this task at all. Nan Yan arrogantly stepped on the back of a killer, raised his eyebrows. Now, can you cooperate? Cooperate, cooperate. How dare they not cooperate? The girl looked pretty, but the evil coldness in her eyes made them doubt that if they didn't cooperate, they would lose their lives. Nan Yan sighed. She dared to be a killer with such courage. It was really embarrassing for the killer world. Who ordered you to kill us? The killer was terrified. The other party didn't reveal their identity, but they should be Chinese. These 6 killers were all from Southeast Asia, not native Chinese. They were short and strong, but afraid of death. Chinese. Nan Yan thought that the 7 deadly sins couldn't wait and sent people to kill them. In the end, was it a wrong guess? After interrogating for a long time and reading the page and process of their acceptance of the task, Nan Yan turned around and asked Qin Lu, brother, do you think it's your enemy or my enemy? She didn't expect that the other party was so careful. Not only did they use code names, but they also used space cards. The task was just a very simple description, which was to kill both of them. In addition, with her means, she couldn't find any information. It seems that the other party is a cautious person. Qin Lu stood beside her and said calmly, it should be coming for me. There are too many people who want to kill him, both at home and abroad. He usually has secret guards around him to clear away all troubles for him. But this time he came back with Nan Yan, and did not let the secret guards accompany him, giving them a few days off. Otherwise, these 6 rubbish killers would not have been able to get to him. Nan Yan said oh, and then asked, what about them? Someone will come to deal with it later, so don't waste our time. Just now, he informed Qin Ye that the secret guards would return within 2 hours. Yeah. The 6 miserable killers looked at the 2 people who left hand in hand, thinking that they could save their lives. But they were caught by another group of people before they were happy for long. This time, it was really miserable. It was better to die than to live, and it was better to die in Nan Yan's hands. Hashtag. When Grandpa An and Grandpa Lu have nothing to do recently, they will get together to play chess. With Zhang Nai's little assist, Grandpa An's piano skills have improved a lot, and his chess character has also improved a lot, so he no longer makes Grandpa Lu angry and wants to throw the chess and leave. Grandpa, Grandpa. Nan Yan and Qin Lu walked in slowly, making the 2 old men who were inseparable from the killing excited at the same time. Yan Yan, you're back. Yan Yan, you're finally back. The 2 old men threw away their chess pieces and walked towards Nan Yan together. Qin Lu followed Nan Yan and greeted the 2 old men. Old man Lu looked at him approvingly and praised, not bad, you brought my granddaughter back. During this period, he was going crazy without any news from Nan Yan. It was still old Manon who comforted him, saying that Qin Lu was there, nothing would happen, and he could rest assured. Sure enough, he brought the person back safely. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Qin Ye's little ancestor is a real boss. Author, Junanan. Chapter 393. Qin Lu accepted the compliment without blushing. He didn't say that the little girl was capable and could handle everything by herself. It was rare for the elders to recognize him. When he married the little girl in the future, he would have fewer obstacles. Mr. Lu was a little bit recognized by Qin Lu and felt that he was barely worthy of his Yan. Mr. An took Nan Yan's hand, his eyes showing heartache. Have you been bullied? You have lost weight. Grandpa asked the kitchen to nourish you well. Nan Yan smiled, you are wrong. I have gained 2 pounds of meat. I haven't lost weight at all. Mr. N glared, I said I lost weight, I need to nourish. Okay, I listen to you. Nan Yan agreed obediently, and then said, but I have to go back to the imperial capital with my brother tomorrow. I have some things to do. I will come back to nourish you after I finish my work. She didn't say she was going back to Shenangjia. As for her master, she would not reveal it to the outside without his permission. You're leaving again. Before Mr. Lu could say a few words of sympathy to her, he heard that she was leaving again and immediately became anxious. Yan Yan, you promised Grandpa that you would go to Tianxia Dai Lu with Grandpa. Nan Yan, Grandpa, I wanted to find you and tell you that I can't go this time. I will definitely accompany you next time. Mr. Lu looked unhappy, with a gloomy face and pursed lips, and turned to leave. Nan Yan grabbed his arm and said helplessly, Grandpa, I really have something to do, it's not that I don't want to accompany you. Mr. Lu said unhappily, but you promised me. She didn't know that something would suddenly change, disrupting her rhythm and causing her original plan to fail. She was in the wrong, so she could only patiently coax her, wait until next time, okay. Grandpa An said, Old man Lu, you're almost done. Yan didn't stand you up on purpose. Besides, it's an art festival, so it doesn't matter whether she goes or not. After saying all this, he still felt that it was not enough, and added, our Yan's future goal is to engage in scientific research, and she also has to study medicine, so she has no time to learn art with you. Grandpa Lu. This is a terrible reality. Alas. He is naturally happy that his granddaughter has her own pursuits. And she wants to be a scientist and contribute to the scientific research of the motherland, so he should support her even more. After a long sigh, Grandpa Lu said, "Don't stand Grandpa up next time." Okay. In the evening, Nanyang and Qin Lu had dinner at the old house. After dinner, they went out again. It was not until the early morning that Qin Lu sent Nanyang back. Qin Lu stroked her fluffy head. "Go to bed early, brother will pick you up at 6 tomorrow." Yes, Nanyang nodded. "Go slowly on the way." Qin Lu watched Nanyang return to the old house, and then slowly return to the car. He pulled his tie and relaxed a little, then leaned back, sitting like a boss, full of domineering and super strong aura, making the whole car full of oppression. Wu Yu saw Qin Lu like this in the rearview mirror, and was a little trembling. "Master, are you going back to the hotel?" "Yes." Qin Lu responded lightly. Wu Yu breathed a sigh of relief. Thinking of the things he followed the young master and Miss Nan to do at night, he felt frightened now. Why didn't he know before that Miss Nan was so cruel and terrifying? Not long ago, he saw with his own eyes that the young master and Miss Nan joined forces to dig out the secret hideout of the 7 deadly sins in Jincheng. The other secret guards didn't have time to make a move, and the people inside surrendered one by one, crying and screaming. But if it were him, he would have to surrender too. Who can withstand the combination of 2 super bosses? No. Stop, don't think about it. Wu Yu quickly suppressed the thoughts in his mind and concentrated on driving. Hashtag. The next day, Nanyang got up and washed up, and Qin Lu came. She came down from upstairs and he was sitting on the sofa, chatting happily with Mr. N. "Grandpa, you have to take the medicine on time, don't get angry, and take good care of your health." "Hey, Grandpa knows," Grandpa N agreed very happily, nodding with a smile. "Don't worry, Yan Yan." Then he looked at Qin Lu and said solemnly, "Take good care of Yan Yan, don't let her suffer any grievances." Qin Lu whispered, "Grandpa, I know." Grandpa N nodded with relief. "Okay, go, finish your work early, and come back early." His Yan Yan has her own way to go. Although he is reluctant to let her leave home, he also knows that he can't restrict her growth. Just knowing that she is safe is enough. In fact, it's not bad to have Qin Lu around. At least, he can stay with her and protect her all the time. Looking at Qin Lu's caring for Nanyang, he sighed in his heart. Shaking his head, he sat back on the sofa, leaning on the back of the sofa, and dozing lazily. Nanyang and Qin Lu went to the first hospital first, picked up Fuyubai, and then went to the airport and flew back to the capital. 3 hours later, the plane landed in the imperial capital. The driver of the Qin family's old house got the news in advance and was waiting outside the airport. The group went directly to find Sun Chan. When they arrived at the courtyard, the medicine boy saw Nanyang and told her that the master had gone to the divine doctor's gate. There was no choice, so they got in the car again and went to the divine doctor's gate. The divine doctor's gate was being renovated. After more than half a month, the decoration was almost done. After all, it didn't need to be too luxurious, as long as it was clean and tidy. This matter was handed over to Sun Chan for supervision. Before Nanyang left, she left a drawing, and the decoration was mainly minimalist. Even the original golden facade was removed, and the wooden plaque was installed on it. The decoration was originally well done and would be completed in 1 or 2 days, but today the elder and Feng Zhenzi came to make trouble again. Originally, Sun Chan knew that Nanyang would come back today and was about to leave for Shenangjia. He was waiting for them in the courtyard. After receiving a call from the decoration master, he hurried over. "Sun Chan, you came at the right time. We don't plan to hand over this divine doctor section." In just half a month, the elder changed his mind. They have worked hard to run the divine doctor sect for most of their lives, why should they just hand it over? Even if Nan Yan is Hua Shifang's apprentice, she can't just take it away. Before, they were intimidated by her, so they gave up the Divine Doctor sect under her coercion and inducement. Now that he has figured it out, he wants to take the Divine Doctor sect back. Sun Quan said coldly, "Grand Elder, you have signed the contract. It's too late to say you don't want to hand it over now." He had no good feelings towards the elders of the Divine Doctor sect and the people of his master's sect. Those friendships were worn out in the constant wear and tear. When he went to Shenangjia to see his senior brother, he would sever ties with this master's sect after he came back. When Sun Quan mentioned the contract, the great elder snorted coldly, "So what?" The contract was signed with the Divine Doctor sect, referring to the original place of the Divine Doctor section. Brother Sun, have you forgotten that this is not the original Divine Doctor sect? Qin Ye's little ancestor is a real boss. Author, Junanan. Chapter 394. The Great Elder is now confident. The current miracle medical sect was relocated and changed its location after Hua Shifang left. In fact, the original miracle medical sect was not here. The Great Elder only remembered it after he returned. Then, recalling what Nan Yan said, their interests will be reduced a lot. Although they have a lot of savings now, if they don't do anything else, they can live on it for a lifetime. But after all the extravagance and luxury they have lived these years, how can they support themselves without high income and fame and fortune? Therefore, they must get the miracle doctor sect back. Sun Quan was so angry at the shameless remarks made by the great elder and others that he turned blue. You still have no shame. If it weren't for senior brother Hua, where would you be today? You guys really have the nerve to play this kind of word game. This is what I'm saying today. Unless Yanyan takes over this miraculous medical sect, not a single medicinal material from my herb garden will be supplied. Sun Quan had a very bad temper. He was made even more angry by the first elder and his others' tricks. He looked around, planning to find an iron broom to beat these shameless bastards out. The great elder and Feng Zhenzi had long made up their mind to be shameless, and immediately asked the people they brought to surround the miracle doctor sect. Senior brother Sun, Baiko Garden is not the only supplier of medicinal herbs in China. It's useless for you to threaten us with this. The reputation of the miraculous medical sect is not due to senior brother Hua, who has always relied on him. It is true that he opened the miraculous medical sect, but he has only been here for 3 years. After he left, we have maintained it for more than 10 years. If without us, this miraculous medical school would have ceased to exist. Why did she, a little girl, take over her right away? Just because she is senior brother Hua's apprentice? What has she paid for the miracle medical sect? Feng Zhenzi and the great elder came prepared this time, and their aggressive tone actually left him speechless. Senior brother Sun, do you think there is no such reason? Sun Quan scratched his neck and said coldly, "It's full of nonsense." Strong words. You proposed the last competition, and you admitted it. Now that you want to regret it, you can't regret it just by saying you regret it. No one can move here without Yanyan. In this case, we have no choice but to offend. The eldest elder also planned to show off his face, and directly waved his hand to drive out all the decoration masters. Sun Quan was very angry, but he only had one person, while Feng Zhenzi and the great elder brought 20 or 30 people. The decoration master also didn't want to cause trouble. Seeing this fight, he already had the idea of leaving and didn't want to get involved among them. At this moment, the sound of breaking came from outside. Nanyan and the others have arrived. The great elder and Feng Zhenji looked at each other, both of them had determination in their eyes. This time, they must take back the miracle doctor sect. Whatever it takes. So lively, Nanyan raised his eyebrows playfully when he saw the people in the store. She walked to Sun Quan unhurriedly and looked at them indifferently. Does the great elder want to regret it, or does he want to rob him? Why don't you tell me? Qin Lu was like a shadow, following Nan Yan. When the little girl needs help, he will be there in time. If he didn't need help, he would be her audience. Although the little guy was too strong and had no chance to show off in front of her, he wanted her to be as strong as possible. Only the strongest will not be bullied by others. Fu Yubai was the first to meet a member of the Heaven and Earth Alliance, and it was also the first time to meet Sun Quan. He had lived in the Fu family for so long, so he naturally knew what was going on. Someone wants to bully his junior sister and steal his junior sister's things. They are really brave. Uncle Sunday. Fu Yubai said hello to Sun Quan gently. Sun Quan nodded. How is your health? It's no longer serious. Okay, there's a seat over there. If you're not feeling well, go over and sit and watch Yan Yan torture them. Sun Quan recognized Nan Yan's ability very much. When he saw her coming, he immediately handed over the matter to her to solve. Anyway, I guess he wouldn't be able to solve it himself. The soft conversation between the two people here did not disturb Nan Yan's pressure on the Great Elder and the others. Her voice didn't sound very lively, but the aura and coolness it contained made two old people, the Elder and Toyo Masaharu, who were half a lifetime older than her, feel chills on their backs. The Great Elder suppressed the fear in his heart and said to Nan Yan in a cold voice, Nan Yan, you may not know that this miraculous medical sect originally belonged to us. The miraculous medical sect founded by your master has long been abandoned. If you don't believe it, just ask Mr. Sun if this is the case. Our current sect of miracle doctors has long been different from the sect of miracle doctors when your master was around, and the sect of miracle doctors did not rely on your master to become what it is today. Everything in the divine medical sect now is earned by us with our own hands. It is originally ours. Feng Zhenzi also helped. Yes, if you want to talk about robbery, it was you who robbed our sect of miracle doctors. You, a little girl who has never made any contribution to the sect of miracle doctors, are not worthy of being the heir of the sect of miracle doctors. Nan Yan frowned. Second master, is this happening? Sun Quan said in a bad tone, Yan Yan, the divine doctor sect moved its storefront once. When your master first founded the divine doctor sect, he had no money and could not afford to rent a big store or a prime location, so he just opened a small store in a corner. Later, as the divine doctor sect became more and more famous, patients could come to the store to ask for medicine without a store or a big sign. Brother thought that instead of wasting money to rent a big store in a prime location, it would be better to save the rent and buy more medicinal materials to treat the poor people who have no money to buy medicine. After brother left, they relied on the money earned by my senior brother was used to move the store to the bustling city center. Relying on the reputation accumulated by my senior brother, he attracted those dignitaries to come and see the doctor. Sun Quan was furious. I was really confused by you. I didn't think of this before. Yan Yan, since they think this store is theirs, then give it to them. Second master will rent you a store and reopen the divine doctor section. As for you, you can call the store whatever you want in the future, but you are not allowed to use the divine doctor sect. Second master has a point. Nan Yan didn't have time to keep arguing with the elders. She had a bad temper and was worried that she would lose control and abolish the elders. Whether to abolish it or not, she would ask the master's opinion after she went back. Elder, I will take back the divine doctor sect on behalf of my master. You can continue to open a clinic here in the future, but if I know that you are still under the banner of the divine doctor sect, then I will really be rude to you. Qin Ye's little ancestor is a real boss. Author, Junanan. Chapter 395. Why? We have been using the miracle medical sect for more than 10 years. You want to take it back? The Great Elder won't do it. They are relying on the reputation of the time-honored brand Miracle Doctor to make money. How can they change the name? Nan Yan's patience has run out, and her anger gradually emerges. Then how do you want to solve it? I will return the store to you. What else do you have to be dissatisfied with? Our medical clinic will naturally continue to be called the Miracle Doctor's Gate, and you can also open another Miracle Doctor's Gate and just treat it as one shop divided into two stores. How about that? Not really. There was no trace of smile on Nan Yan's face. Either you will be an elder of the Divine Doctor sect and receive dividends, or you can set up your own business and stop using the reputation of the Divine Doctor sect to make money. I have no intention of giving you the third option. Little girl, your tone is quite serious. The elder's face turned green with anger. Even senior brother Sun doesn't dare to speak to me like this. You, a junior, do you want to be expelled from the school if you commit the following offense? Sun Chan cursed angrily. Fart, I dare not say anything to you. You shameless thing, you want to bully my apprentice, and you want to suppress me. I think you are the one who will be expelled from the master. He is a senior brother, older than him, and a direct descendant of the family, so he naturally has more say than him. Even Feng Zhenzi was polite to him, but the great elder's arrogant words directly touched his trouble. He didn't like to deal with the trivial matters in the sect, so he left them to the elder Yuan and Feng Zhenzi to deal with them in order to escape from leisure. In terms of reputation, it is still him and Hua Shifang. The great elder's face was dull after being sprayed. He glanced at the furious Sun Chan and did not dare to continue the fight. Feng Zhenzi secretly pinched the elder's arm, and then said, as Yinanyan said, we will establish our own section. This is our store. Junior brother Sun, please go find another store. Remember, you are not allowed to use the name of the Miracle Doctor sect again. Nanyan said indifferently, Uncle Second Master, let's go. Bring Master's plaque. The only thing in this store that belongs to Hua Shifang is a plaque in his own handwriting. Nanyan took it off carefully, carried it with Sun Chan, and left directly. Why did you promise her not to use the title of Miracle Doctor? The great elder was still angry. Great elder, think about it, today's powerful people recognize you as people, not just a name. In their eyes, you are the miraculous doctor section, and even if Nanyan reopens the miraculous doctor sect, she will only be a little girl with yellow hair. Who would approve of her? Even though her medical skills are good, she doesn't have any popularity or reputation. Who dares to seek treatment from her? After listening to Feng Zhenzi's explanation, the great elder finally came to his senses. You're right. A name, what's the big deal? What really attracts patients is their medical skills. Then what name should we change? The Divine Medical Sect focuses on traditional Chinese medicine, which is also a medical technique passed down from ancient times. How about calling it an ancient medical clinic instead? Okay, the great elder was very satisfied with the name, then let's call it the Ancient Medical Center. Hashtag. Nanyan and the others returned to Sun Chan's courtyard. Hua Shifang's autographed plaque was carefully placed on the mahogany table in the living room. After finding a soft cloth and wiping the plaque clean, Nanyan said, Brother, help me choose a facade. Qin Lu smiled slightly and said, Okay, leave it to me. When you come back from Shenangjia, we should be able to open the business. Nanyan didn't even thank him. Let Fu Yubai stay in the courtyard first, and she and Qin Lu went back to Qin's house. After meeting with Mrs. Qin and calming her down, Nanyan returned to the courtyard by herself. Qin Lu could not accompany her this time, as there were still many things that he needed to deal with. Yanyan, when do we leave? When Nanyan went to Qin's house, Sun Chan had already packed all his luggage. I also chatted a lot with Fu Yubai. The master, uncle, and nephew got to know each other a lot, and their relationship became much closer. Leave immediately. After Nanyan finished speaking, a helicopter slowly landed from the sky above the courtyard. There is no direct flight to Shenangjia. Even the nearest airport is hundreds of kilometers away. In order to make it more convenient, Qin Lu arranged a helicopter for them. Speaking of which, This was Sun Chan's first time flying. He has been in Siju City all his life and has never left the city. After boarding the helicopter, he looked around in novel ways. I had only seen airplanes on TV before, but I never thought I would be able to fly on one. Fu Yubai said warmly, "Uncle Master, if you like it, I will give you a fight." After managing the Fu family for so many years, he has a lot of funds in his hands. Buying a plane was easy for him. Sun Chan waved his hand quickly, "No, no, I'm an old farmer, and I don't fly around all day long, so what's the use of getting me a plane? I just sigh with emotion, technology is developing so rapidly nowadays." Nan Yan said faintly, "Second master, if you want to take a plane in the future, just tell me. My brother has several private planes there, and I will take you to the sky." "No, I don't like it." When it came to Qin's laws, Sun Chan would not agree even more. It's not that easy to kidnap his apprentice. He wouldn't give her his apprentice just for a plane. Sun Chan was very picky about Qin Lu, and he didn't like him no matter how he looked at him. All those who want to kidnap his apprentice are not good people. Nan Yan smiled lightly and said nothing. The old man is really interesting. He touched here and there on the plane when he obviously liked her, but he still insisted that he didn't like her. How could he be so cute? Nan Yan saw through it but didn't say it. She went along with him, coaxed him a few words, and then took out the computer to investigate something. More than 5 hours later, the pilot's voice came from the speaker on the cabin wall, "Miss Nan, the magnetic field above Shenangjia is abnormal. Flying too close will interfere with the radar and intelligence system. You can only land at the edge of Shenangjia." After hearing this, Nan Yan stood up, put the notebook on her seat, and then went to the cockpit. "I'll locate a place, you put us there." "Okay." Nan Yan made a mark on the map, and the pilot switched the target and flew to the place she marked. Half an hour later, the plane landed. "Miss Nan, I'll be on standby nearby. When you want to go back, just contact me directly." "Nan Yan, we may have to stay here for a few days." "You don't have to stay here all the time. I'll tell you the day before we leave." "Okay, Miss Nan." After the pilot finished speaking, he suddenly remembered something important. "Miss Nan, the magnetic field inside Shenangjia is abnormal. I guess your communication equipment will fail after you go in. How do you notify us?" "Don't worry about this. I have my own way." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Qin Ye's little ancestor is a real boss. Author, Junanan. Chapter 396. Nan Yan and his group left the plane and walked into Shenangjia instead. The pilot stood there until they could no longer be seen, then returned to the helicopter and went back to report. Shenangjia, one of the most mysterious secret places in China, is also known as the roof of central China. It is named because the ancestor of China, Emperor Yansheng, built a wooden ladder here, tasted hundreds of herbs, saved people from diseases and taught people how to farm. It was named after this place, and people only lived on the periphery. Deep in Shenangjia, the scenery is beautiful, with mountains and ridges. It is a paradise for animals, but it is a forbidden area for humans. It is listed as a World Natural Heritage Site and is covered with a layer of mythology. Hua Shifang is in the depths of Shenangjia. He has lived here for more than 10 years and has accepted 4 apprentices. Everyone who comes here is because of coincidence. Or get lost, like Fu Yubai, who came to Shenangjia for tourism, but accidentally walked into the depths, lost his guide and friends, and unknowingly walked to the innermost part, saw the real paradise and the old immortals inside, and then decided to stay here and not leave, and then worshipped Hua Shifang as his master. Or deliberately go in to look for treasures, want to find some 100-year-old wisdom, 1000-year-old ginseng, etc., and finally get lost inside, and are also picked up by Hua Shifang, and then see his superb medical skills, and shamelessly want to worship him as a master. For example, his eldest disciple Shaoji Unming. Nanyang is special, she found it by herself. After accepting Hua Shifang's test, he accepted her as his close disciple. Passing through the jungle and mountains, crossing the Lichi River, and entering the depths of the primeval forest, the plants that cover the sky and the sun gradually decrease, and the few people see the light of day again, and come to Hua Shifang's secluded paradise. Sun Quan came here for the first time, and his expression was full of sighs. "Brother, you are really good at finding a good place. This place is perfect for growing medicinal herbs." They saw a lot of wild medicinal herbs along the way. Of course, after seeing the herbs planted by Sun Quan in his herb garden, Nanyang felt that the herbs here were just so-so. Although they are wild, they grow worse than the herbs carefully planted by Sun Quan because no one takes care of them. But if you are willing to spend time looking for them here, you can still find rare medicinal herbs. There are several wooden houses, surrounded by a half-person high fence outside, and chickens, ducks, geese, rabbits, and other small animals are raised in the fence. There are also several white wolves lying at the door of a thatched house. When they saw someone coming, they stood up and bared their teeth at them. Fu Yubai raised his voice and shouted to them, "Xiaobai, Xiajin, Xiaohuang, it's us." The wolves heard Fu Yubai's voice, and their original irritable and angry appearance was immediately calmed down. "Awoo! Awoo!" The white wolf, who had been trained to be human, responded with a howl. However, compared to the fierce baring of teeth before, the howl now actually sounded intimate. The three of them entered the small courtyard. Nanyang changed her body, and the three wolves, Xiaobai, Xiaohuang, and Xiajin, did not recognize her, so when they saw her approaching, their hair stood up subconsciously and turned into an attacking state. Fu Yubai hurriedly said to them, "They are all master's family members, you are not allowed to be mean to them." "Awoo!" The cry was considered a response to Fu Yubai. The three wolves lay down again obediently, and no longer rejected Nanyang's approach. Sun Quan was a little confused. "They know Yubai, but not you." Nanyang looked at him. "Second master, my situation is a bit special. I will explain it to you when I see the master later." "Oh." Sun Quan did not continue to ask. He trusted Nanyang very much and had long regarded her as his own child. Since she said she would explain it later, then she would explain it later. Fu Yubai had walked around several wooden houses and returned to them. "Master is not at home." "Nanyang, I guessed it." If he was not at home, he would have noticed when they came and come out to see. Xiaobai and the others called so many times, but no one came out. There must be no one in the wooden house. "How many people are here after you left?" Sun Quan felt that there should be many people living here with so many wooden houses. Fu Yubai said in a gentle voice, "If master does not accept new disciples, then he will be the only one left." "Only him?" "Yeah." A touch of heartache flashed in Sun Quan's eyes. Humans are social animals. How lonely it would be to live alone in the wilderness for more than 10 years. He felt so sorry for his senior brother. Nanyang glanced sideways and caught his expression. "Second master, your expression is not right. What are you thinking about?" Sun Quan looked at the two of them with some reproach. "Why didn't one of you stay with him?" "Nanyang." "Fu Yubai." Is that what they understood? "Second master, did you misunderstand something? Does he think that master lives a miserable life here? He is too naive. Although there are few people here, master is the only one left after they left. But master will never feel lonely. There are rumors about how terrible this place is. Of course, it is really terrible if you don't have enough strength, but for those who have strength and hate the hypocritical and greedy world of the outside world, this place is like heaven. And their master is such a person. Here, his life is extremely comfortable. Just when Sun Quan was wondering what Nan Yan meant, Fu Yubai looked into the distance and said, "Master is back." At that moment, he did not bother to ask Nan Yan again and turned around. Looking at the old man who appeared in his sight, carrying a medicine basket, wearing a grey linen robe, with white hair and beard, he murmured, "Brother Hua." It was really his brother Hua. The two brothers had not seen each other for more than 10 years. Hua Shifang's idle eyes suddenly became sharp after discovering the three people in the courtyard. The pace that was neither fast nor slow also accelerated in an instant. "Brother!" Sun Quan shouted, and like a child, he trotted over and opened his arms to hug him. Then, he was rejected mercilessly by Hua Shifang. "Sun Quan! Brother, should he be so cold? I haven't seen him for more than 10 years, but he doesn't miss him at all. It's too much." Hua Shifang's eyes were also full of excitement. Seeing Sun Quan's hurt expression, he coughed dryly and explained, "I'm covered in feces, don't let it dirty you." Sun Quan's broken heart was glued together again. He knew that his senior brother would not be so ruthless. "Master!" Fu Yubai came over, called respectfully, and then reached out to take the medicine basket behind him. Hua Shifang took the medicine basket off and gave it to him, but his eyes looked at Nan Yan. He asked Fu Yubai, "Have you found another little disciple for me?" "Sun Quan. This is not right. Can't the senior brother even recognize his own disciple?" Qin Ye's little ancestor is a real boss. Author, Junanan. Chapter 397. This is not right. Can't a master recognize his own apprentice? Or is there something strange about Nan Yan's identity? This is not right either. From Nan Yan's medical skills and the fact that she could directly guess his identity, it is obvious that she is the apprentice of the senior brother. So, why is this? This is a bit beyond his understanding. Fu Yubai smiled and shook his head, "No." The first time the junior sister revealed her identity and told him what happened to her, he was shocked. I don't know how the master, who has always been calm, would react when he knew about this. Nan Yan felt a little complicated when she saw the master again. Hua Shifang was a good teacher and the most important person to her. Especially after experiencing Shishkin's betrayal, she felt more and more that the master was good to her. However, she failed the master and disappointed him. Hua Shifang frowned and looked at her. Her eyes made him feel familiar. However, he had never seen her before. Nan Yan felt astringent in her heart, and she cried out with guilt, "Master, I am Yan Yan, your little disciple." Hua Shifang was startled, then walked in front of her, stretched out his hand to grab her shoulders, and looked at her seriously, "Are you Yan Yan?" Nan Yan nodded, "Yes, it's me." Hua Shifang still couldn't accept it, and frowned tightly, "Why did you become like this? This is a completely different person, and there is nothing similar to his original little disciple. The appearance has changed, the figure has changed, the height has changed, and even the age has changed. The little girl in front of him is at most 19 years old, but his little disciple is already 25. How can someone grow backwards? What's going on? Yan Yan, what happened to you?" Hua Shifang's voice was urgent, and he was anxious to ask clearly. Sun Quan was also confused. Listening to the conversation between the senior brother and the little disciple, there seems to be a big problem. Nan Yan patted Hua Shifang's arm in a comforting manner, "Master, my business is a long story, let's go inside and talk about it." "Okay, let's go back to the house first." The four of them entered the wooden house. Since everyone was here, Hua Shifang was not worried that she would run away again, so she simply went back to the bedroom and changed her clothes that were stained with feces. Fu Yubai skillfully boiled water, took out Hua Shifang's tea leaves, and made tea for them. Not long after, Hua Shifang changed his clothes and came out. His face was even more solemn than before. He sat at the wooden table, and the four people sat on one side, and Nan Yan sat directly opposite him. Fu Yubai poured the brewed tea into teacups and placed them in front of everyone. Hua Shifang was not in the mood to drink tea. He looked at Nan Yan and asked in a deep voice, "Yan Yan, can you tell me what happened to you now?" Nan Yan nodded, "Master, second master, you two had better be mentally prepared. What happened to me is quite incredible." Sun Quan frowned and said, "How incredible is it? Is it a soul transformation?" "Well, my situation is similar to soul transformation, but my soul directly possessed me after death, replaced the soul in this body, and controlled this body." Hua Shifang and Sun Quan looked at her in disbelief. Especially Sun Quan, who just picked up the tea and wanted to take a sip, but was frightened by her words. The boiling tea spilled all over his hand, but he didn't feel any pain. "Really, really? Since I am sitting in front of you now, this is naturally true." Nan Yan looked at them and said lightly, "My original body died in the laboratory of M country and was burned to charcoal by a fire." Hua Shifang. Sun Quan. Unbelievable. There are such fantastic things happening in this world, and they are happening right in front of them. Hua Shifang picked up Nan Yan, looked her up and down, and made her turn around several times. "Yan Yan, is your current body completely under your control?" "Yes, except that it is weaker, it is the same as my original body." "Will there be rejection? Will your soul be squeezed out by the original owner of the body again?" Hua Shifang's acceptance ability is obviously very strong. He has accepted Nan Yan's changes and raised questions one by one. Fu Yubai couldn't help thinking that the master is indeed the master. When he knew it at the beginning, he was almost shocked. Who would have thought that there would be such a magical thing in this world? After a person dies, he is resurrected in another body. These are things that appear in myths and legends, right? "No," Nan Yan explained patiently, "because the original owner of my current body is also dead. I took over the body after she died." Hua Shifang said seriously, "You still need to think more and prevent being rejected by your current body in advance." Sun Quan also said, "Yan Yan, your master is right, your original body has disappeared, you must not let your current body have any accidents." "Got it, two masters. Why did you die in the laboratory?" Hua Shifang knew Nan Yan's strength. With her strength, it was not so easy to die. Even if there was a sudden fire in the laboratory, she would definitely have time to escape. He guessed that there was definitely something wrong with her death. Nan Yan lowered her eyes, and a hint of self-mockery appeared at the corner of her mouth. "Master, I was betrayed." Of course, this was all because she was too stupid. Hua Shifang's face suddenly darkened. What on earth is going on? His precious apprentice would be betrayed and killed. Even if she comes back now, this is unbearable. Nan Yan calmly told them the complete process. "Including things that I had not told Fu Yubai before, I fully confess this time. The truth of the matter is so tragic. The person she trusted wholeheartedly, after using her, killed her mercilessly, and the other person didn't even leave her a complete body." Hua Shifang was angry. Sun Quan was angry. Fu Yubai was also angry. How could the treasure they held in their hands be bullied like this? "Yan Yan, don't be sad, Master will help you get revenge." The miracle doctor Hua Shifang doesn't just save people with compassion for heaven and humans. He can also punish rape and eradicate evil and do justice for heaven. He has always had a willful and casual personality. In order to save an ordinary person, he can go over mountains and ridges, collect medicines without fear of danger, and he can poison dozens of unscrupulous bad guys without blinking an eye. He dared to hurt his precious apprentice, How could he just let it go? Sun Quan was not to be outdone, and I, the second master, will also help you take revenge. Wait. Hua Shifang finally noticed this detail. Sun Quan, how come you are Yanyan's second master? Sun Quan explained, senior brother, I also handed over the Baiko garden to Yanyan. From now on, Yanyan will jointly inherit your miraculous medical school and my Baiko garden. Also, senior brother, you don't know how excessive Toyo Masaharu and his group are. How shameless. Qin Ye's little ancestor is a real boss. Author, Junanan. Chapter 398. What did Feng Zhenzi and the others do? Hua Shifang's face was a little gloomy. He had been secluded in Shenangjia and had not asked about the people and things in his master's sect for more than 10 years. He had even left that world, left his master's sect, and stayed away from the trivialities and noise. After so many years, he still felt disgusted when he heard his name again. Sun Quan was not at all steady in front of Hua Shifang, nor did he look like a hermit. He directly exaggerated and told Hua Shifang how shameless Feng Zhenzi and the elder were. When Hua Shifang heard that Nanyan wanted to take back the Divine Doctor sect for him and wanted to change the corruption and decay of the Divine Doctor sect for him, he looked at Nanyan with more relief. He was worthy of being his apprentice and did not embarrass him. Brother, just before we came, Feng Zhenzi and the elder came to cause trouble again, saying that they were the ones who kept the Divine Doctor sect going, and that they were no longer the Divine Doctors who founded it, and they shamelessly took the shop back. But our Yanyan is just trying to make herself proud, so we just told them not to use the name of the Divine Doctor sect, and let them set up their own section. Sun Quan said, his tone was somewhat relieved, and then he changed his tone and said, brother, if you were here, this kind of thing would never happen, and how dare they do this to me and Yanyan? That group of profit-seeking bastards. I have decided that after I take care of the Baiko garden for Yanyan and hand it over to Yanyan, I will come here to accompany you and live a life of working from sunrise to sunset with you. When I'm not here, they are becoming more lawless. Hua Shifang's eyes are deep, his face is stern, and he is intimidating without anger. He came to Shenangjia to live in seclusion because he had different values from those people in the sect and was tired of human greed. Unexpectedly, his departure not only did not make them restrain themselves, but made them even more aggressive. Hua Shifang couldn't help but ask himself, was it really right for him to choose to leave and escape these phenomena that disgusted him? After Sun Quan finished speaking, Hua Shifang frowned slightly, then looked at Nanyan kindly. Yanyan, what are you going to do? Master's things can't be taken away by anyone, whether it's the Divine Doctor sect or Baikatang, I won't give them to them. Nanyan's tone was domineering and firm, and Hua Shifang and Sun Quan couldn't help but nod with relief. Fuyubai also expressed his attitude seriously, Master, Uncle, I will stand behind the little sister, help her and protect her. Since he has left the Fu family, he will stay with Nanyan in the future. Hua Shifang nodded, yes, Yubai is willing to stay with Yanyan and assist her, so I can feel more at ease. I don't know where the other two bastards have gone. When I contact them, let them come to help your little sister. Although the eldest and second apprentices don't have a high talent for medicine, they have learned a lot of other things, especially the second apprentice has made a lot of achievements in growing medicine. It's just right to help Nanyan manage the Baiko garden. Nanyan, Master, everyone has their own life. The eldest and second brothers may have already had their own careers. It's enough for the third brother to stay to help me. If Fuyubai hadn't taken the initiative to stay, Nanyan didn't want to disturb anyone. And she hasn't been in touch with the eldest and second brothers for 5 or 6 years, so it's better not to disturb them. Hua Shifang said domineeringly, Master's orders are orders. If you need them, Yanyan, just tell me and I'll ask them to help you. Okay, but not now. My third brother and I can handle it. When we can't handle it, We'll tell you. Well, don't be stubborn, understand? I know. The four masters and apprentices sat back at the wooden table and listened to Nan Yan talk about other things. During the conversation, Nan Yan also talked about the 7 deadly sins and human genetic experiments. Sun Quan slapped the table, violating the laws of nature and trying to live forever. Why don't they want to go to heaven? Nan Yan, second master, going to heaven is just an ordinary thing for humans now. Sun Quan thought of the plane he had taken before and fell silent. Although Hua Shifang majored in traditional Chinese medicine, he was not ignorant of Western medicine. The result of the closed-door policy in the early years made him know that sticking to the old ways is the worst. So in order to improve his medical skills, he once went abroad to study Western medicine, and also learned about genetics and biochemistry. He understood genetic experiments much more thoroughly than Sun Quan. Hua Shifang said seriously, Yan Yan, we must stop them from conducting genetic experiments, otherwise it will cause great disasters to the world. I understand. Nan Yan's tone was cold and murderous. Master, they killed me once, and they are also the murderers of my parents. I must fight to the death with them. No matter which side it is, this organization, she is determined to destroy it. Hua Shifang hesitated. After more than 10 years of seclusion, should he leave Shenangjia and go out to see the outside world? But he has adapted to such a pure and easy life, can he return to the outside world again? Nan Yan and the others did not plan to leave so quickly, and they would stay with him in Shenangjia for a few days. So Hua Shifang also had a lot of time to think about what to do. In the next few days, Nan Yan and Fu Yubai got up in the morning to pick herbs in the mountains as before, and Sun Quan stayed in the wooden house to cook. After the meal, the master and his disciples came back and ate the simple food prepared by Sun Quan. After the meal, they sorted out the herbs they had picked. In the afternoon, they went fishing in a stream and had grilled fish as a snack in the evening. Sun Quan loved the pure natural food in Shenangjia very much. Without any additives, it tastes pure and fresh. Compared with those fruits and vegetables outside that are ripened by drugs and use various chemical fertilizers from the beginning of germination, the taste is not a little bit better. Yan Yan, why don't you and Yubai go back first? I will stay here with my senior brother for a few more days. Sun Quan is too comfortable living here and doesn't want to leave. Hua Shifang stroked his beard and glanced at him. I will come to live here later. I plan to go back with Yan Yan and the others. Nan Yan and Fu Yubai asked in surprise, Master, are you leaving Shenangjia? My apprentice has something to do. How can I enjoy the happiness here with peace of mind? And the group of old guys in the sect, bullying me is fine, but they also bully my apprentice. I will go back to help you deal with them. After a few days of consideration, Hua Shifang decided to go back and take a look. When he sees that Nan Yan can handle it by himself and can solve those things, it will not be too late for him to come back with peace of mind. Senior brother, that's great. I thought you didn't want to go out again in this life. Sun Quan was also very happy. Let's let those people in the sect see who is the real master of the Divine Doctor sect. Let's see what excuses they have this time. Brother, are you going back to support disciple Yan Yan? Hua Shifang said indifferently, otherwise. It's been more than 10 years, and you haven't missed me at all. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Qin Ye's little ancestor is a real boss. Author, Junanan. Chapter 399. Sun Quan asked expectantly, Senior brother, have you never thought about me in the past 10 years? No. Hua Shifang's answer made his heart feel cold. Forget it, I kidnapped the person back now. If he comes back in the future, he will come back with him. The two of them, brothers, depend on each other for life. It's okay if his senior brother doesn't care about him, as long as he remembers his senior brother. Anyway, the two of them have been noisy since they became apprentices. He has been really lonely without him by his side for more than 10 years. Hua Shifang plans to return to China together. The return date is uncertain, so the small animals raised here must be released into the mountains and forests. The three wolves, Xiao Bai, Xiao Jin, and Xiao Huang, refused to leave. Just lying in the yard, the ropes around their necks were untied, and they were still lying in place. In the end, Hua Shifang had no choice but to open the fence and let them in and out at will. It's okay to leave them to watch the house. He plans to come back to this cabin in the future. With them here, it won't be abandoned. The rare medicinal materials that Hua Shifang had found in the depths of Shenangjia over the years were packed up. Each of the four people carried an oversized baggage on their backs and two small bags in their hands before taking them all with them. Fortunately, they all had good physical strength and were able to hold on from the back of the cabin to the place where the helicopter dropped them off. After arriving at the place, the others sat on the ground to rest. Nan Yan took out his mobile phone and contacted the pilot. #. 6 hours later, the four masters and apprentices returned to Sun Chan's courtyard. If you can't use these medicinal materials, Yan Yan, then I will take them to the herb garden and plant them first, and then get them when you need them. Sun Chan was referring to some precious medicinal materials with soil that Hua Shifang had planted around the cabin before. If not planted in the soil, it will wither in 3 days at most. Nan Yan nodded. You can take it and plant it first. Master, you stay with second master for now. I want to go back to Qin's house and come to see you after I finish my work. Hua Shifang waved his hand. Well, you go and do your work first and don't worry about me. He had been away for too long and needed to get used to the outside world again, so he was going to let Fu Yubai take him around. After Nan Yan left, Sun Chan complained to Hua Shifang, by the way, senior brother, I forgot to tell you that there is a brat trying to take advantage of our Yan Yan. What? Hua Shifang looked sleepy, but when he heard these words, his eyes widened suddenly, and he stood up, eager to fight with the brat who wanted to deceive his apprentice. He finally reunited with his young apprentice, and he wanted to see who dared to take advantage of her. Whoever comes, break whose legs. Sun Chan continued to argue, that bastard is still disabled and has to use a wheelchair to get in and out. I don't know how we, Yan Yan, were deceived by his sweet words. How audacious! Hua Shifang slapped the table. Who dares to smoke when he is physically disabled? Who gives him such courage? When Yan Yan comes next time, I'll go see him. Qin Lu, who was having a meeting in the office, suddenly felt a chill on his back. As if being targeted by some kind of danger. When Nan Yan came back from the courtyard, she went back to the Qin family first. She picked some fruits from Shenangjia, and also took a few medicinal plants from Hua Shifang's medicinal materials, preparing to distribute them to Mrs. Qin, as well as Jinjin's grandfather and grandpa. When she entered the living room, she saw Mrs. Qin sitting on the sofa with a serious face and angry. She carried the things and put them on the coffee table, then walked up to her and asked in a warm voice, Grandma, what's wrong with you? Yan Yan. Mrs. Qin's expression suddenly changed when she heard Nan Yan's words. It was like changing her face, from angry to smiling. Are you back? She was just angry and didn't look when she heard the door open. She thought it was Qin Xiu who was back. Who knew, it was Nan Yan. Well, I just came back and came over anxiously to see you and got you some good things. Let Grandma see it quickly. Mrs. Qin stretched her neck to see the good things Nan Yan had brought her. Without teasing her, he took the portion given to her and said, let the kitchen use the herbs for making soup. The fruits can be eaten now, and the ones you can't eat are kept in the refrigerator to keep them fresh. Good boy, you still know that you feel sorry for Grandma. Mrs. Jean was smiling from ear to ear. She still couldn't remember what she was angry about before. Nan Yan talked with her for a while, and then went to Li Ma to ask what happened. Mrs. Jean is not someone who gets angry easily unless someone provokes her. Mother Li was also happy to see Nan Yan. When she heard her ask, she quickly explained, "Miss Nan, you have been away these days. Master Qin's wife, the young master's second concubine, comes to see the old lady every day. The second madam represents the second master's wishes. Both of them are putting pressure on the old madam and want to get some shares and assets from the young master. The old madam feels sorry for the young master and has never told him, so she just endures it by herself. She is very angry." Nan Yan's eyebrows slightly raised. "A little evil, what did they say? It seems that the lesson learned last time is not enough." He actually had the guts to grab it. With the support of the old lady behind her, even Mrs. Jean dared to bully her. Nan Yan has long regarded Mrs. Jean as her grandmother. She protects her shortcomings. If someone bullies her, she will definitely not do it. I'm talking about the relationship between mother and son. The old lady only has one son, Qin Senator. The other sons and daughters are abroad all the year round and will never come back. She also said that they are the most filial and should have given them more assets, otherwise they will follow the example of the other children of the old lady and move abroad instead of staying with her in the imperial capital. Mother Li sighed. When the old lady was young, she was decisive and ruthless. Now that she is old, her heart has softened. She likes to have children and grandchildren around her, and she doesn't want to drive all the children away, so she feels difficult. I see. Nan Yan nodded. Mother Li, you should be able to contact them, just tell them that it was the old lady's intention and ask them to come over. I will help Grandma teach them what filial piety is. Okay. Mother Li smiled and responded, then went to call Qin Sen and Song Wan Rong. Mrs. Jean asked the servant to wash a fruit, and the sour, sweet, and juicy taste made her like it very much. After eating one, her mouth was full of saliva, and she felt that her appetite had improved a lot. So the servant brought her the still warm food with a discerning look. The old lady was angry at noon and didn't even eat lunch. Now she is in a good mood and has an appetite. "Yan Yan, are you going to look for Alu? He's at the company." "No hurry, I'll have dinner with Grandma first, and then go look for my brother later." She propped up her chin and said with a smile, "Grandma, I didn't eat lunch either." "How can you not eat lunch?" old Madame Qin scolded, and then said, "Housekeeper, ask the kitchen to make a few more dishes quickly, Yan Yan hasn't eaten yet." The kitchen quickly made a few quick dishes and served them. The grandparents and grandchildren were eating when Qin Sen and Song Wan Rong came. "Mom, have you thought it through? Have you agreed to us? Qin Ye's little ancestor is a real boss." Author, Junanan. Chapter 400. The grandparents and grandson were eating when Qin Sen and Song Wan Rong arrived. As soon as he entered the door, Qin Sen couldn't wait to say, "Mom, have you figured it out and agreed to us?" Qin Sen was so excited. His efforts were not in vain, and he finally got the old lady to compromise and transfer her shares to him. Although the old man is relatively mediocre and his IQ is not very high, he has lived for more than 90 years and has long since become a human being. He is very good at handling human nature. No matter how cold-blooded and strong his mother was before, now she is older, less ambitious, soft-hearted, and enjoys a stable old age. If even her last son abandoned her, she would definitely be emotionally shattered. So, he used the mother-son relationship between them as a bargaining chip. When Mrs. Jean heard what Qin Sen said, she angrily said, "Qin Sen, who told you that I agreed to your request?" Qin Sen and Song Wan Rong's excited expression suddenly froze. "Mom, what do you mean by this? Are you teasing us?" Qin Sen was furious. "Didn't you ask Molly to inform us that you wanted to see us?" He subconsciously thought that Mrs. Qin had no way to deal with him, and she was reluctant to let his only son leave the imperial capital, so she compromised. As a result, after he arrived, he heard that Mrs. Qin had changed her mind. Mrs. Qin snorted coldly, "When will I ask you to come? Do I want you to come and cause trouble for me?" Qin Sen. He believed that Mrs. Qin didn't bother to lie to him. Since she said she didn't ask him to come, it definitely wasn't her. "Mother Li, you are so brave. You actually lied to the old lady and tricked us into doing what you wanted to do here." Mother Li was not immune to his majesty. She stood calmly behind the old lady, her eyes watching her nose, and her nose watching her heart. Mrs. Qin was also a little surprised. Was it Mother Li who called them here? Just as she was wondering, Nan Yan patted the back of her hand, raised her head, and met the girl's bright eyebrows. "Grandma, I asked Molly to call her." "Yan Yan, what are you?" Nan Yan gave her a comforting look, and then looked at Qin Sen leisurely. "Second Uncle Qin, I heard from Mother Li that you are tired of staying in the imperial capital and want to go abroad, right?" Qin Sen's face was gloomy. "What does my matter have to do with you, an outsider?" Nan Yan raised her eyebrows and said casually, "I am an outsider now, but I will not be in the future. Therefore, it is natural for me to assume my identity in advance and come to help my second uncle." "It's so shameless. You said such words before you even entered my Qin family's house. Do you have any sense of shame?" Qin Sen hates Nan Yan no less than his own nephew. Qin Lu was originally difficult to deal with, but he found a woman who was also difficult to deal with. If these two people really get married in the future, will he still have a share in the Qin family? It wasn't like he hadn't thought about breaking up the two of them. But he had no idea where to start. In fact, beauty traps and alienation schemes are of no use to Qin Lu. As for Nan Yan, he didn't know much about her, and he couldn't provoke her. Nan Yan held her chin up and said lazily, "Grandma, he scolded me." "Qin Sen, Yan Yan is my personally selected granddaughter-in-law, the future mistress of the Qin family. Even if she has not entered the Qin family now, she is still half of the Qin family. She is qualified to take care of the Qin family's affairs." Mrs. Qin is also a transparent person. Knowing that it was Nan Yan who asked Molly to call Qin Sen, she guessed that it was Molly who said something to make her want to vent her anger and solve the trouble. But what makes her most happy is that Qin Lu finally caught up with Nan Yan. Everyone celebrates. When she graduates from Nanyang University, she will get them married immediately. "Mom." Qin Sen and Song Wanrong both looked gloomy. "Are you going to let a little girl who hasn't walked in yet sit on top of us?" Qin Sen gritted his teeth angrily. Even his face was a little distorted. Song Wanrong also said aggrievedly, "Mom, I have been married to the Qin family for more than 20 years. I have always respected you, treated you with filial piety, and been cautious in everything I do. If you don't leave the affairs of the Qin family to me, I have no complaints. But you would rather give it to a little girl who has not yet married into the Qin family than to me. How do you want people in your circle to think of me?" Song Wanrong was waiting hard for Mrs. Qin to delegate her power, just when she thought that since her elder sister-in-law and younger siblings had left the emperor and refused to come back, the identity of the mistress of the Qin family would definitely fall on her. Mrs. Qin actually wants to hand over the right to manage the inner house to Nan Yan. How could she accept this? Mrs. Qin, Alu is the current head of the Qin family, and his wife is naturally the mistress of the family. Song Wanrong almost crushed the bag in her hand, and her body was shaking with anger. Qin Sen grabbed her hand and said sternly, "In that case, Wanrong and I will go abroad, and you will stay with your grandson and granddaughter-in-law." He thought that if he said this, Mrs. Qin would definitely try to persuade them not to leave. As a result, Nan Yan said calmly, "Second uncle can leave, but before leaving, there is something I want to tell you in advance. You'd better give up on the old lady's shares. She can give her things to whoever she wants. There's no use intimidating her. Grandma has been tolerant enough to you too. Last time, the old lady pleaded for you, so my brother didn't punish you. If you disrespect the old lady again, my brother will listen to Grandma and not do it. I don't mind doing it myself. You. Qin Sen was so angry that he wanted to curse, but Nan Yan looked at him with a cold and evil look, which made his back feel cold and swallowed the words back. He clenched his fists and looked at Mrs. Jean gloomily. Mom, is this what you mean? Mrs. Jean was silent for a moment and nodded, yes. Qin Sen, I have given you a chance. You are mediocre and have no business talent. You can only use some tricks and some crooked ways. The shares you hold are enough for you two to have food and clothing and maintain your extravagant life. As a person, don't be too greedy. She wanted to say these words to Qin Sen a long time ago. All along, she had taken good care of him and been more tolerant of him because he stayed with her and did not leave like other children and live abroad. However, he was a piece of mud that could not be helped. Not only was he useless, but he was also soft-hearted and would do stupid things if provoked. She could indulge him for a while, but she could never indulge him all the time. Qin Sen's eyes were filled with hatred. He glared at Madame Qin fiercely, dragged Song Wanrong and said angrily, let's go. Before leaving, he also said something cruel, I hope you won't regret it in the future.